In a world that walks the line, there's a rare few who think outside the box together form a crew to break the equations, not bound to any rule, exposing to the world the universe's own view. It takes the talent of the craftsman, it takes the mind of the fool to make the vision realize energy and matter in a duel. To a break, to a duel. The old man Bills was running through his head. Cheryl probably got it hiding under his bed. Penny up to Annie making power for days. Don't listen to a word that the straight dope says. Mike building batteries that power a ship. Victor comes and talking math, that's the water spiral dip. Sean chucking plasma bolts a mile long. Sheila on the video making tone chucking prongs. Burning breaking matter, they said it couldn't be done. And to all the people in the chat, I know you're having fun. So it's time to spend your Saturday with the doping old man Bills.
Hello everyone, my name is Nathan, otherwise it's the Old Man Bills, man. Joe, we're rocking out today, brother. We're going to be talking crop circles, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Nathan? What's up, everybody? Happy Friday.
Oh, man, I love this topic. Everybody's got something to say in it, man. So I figured we'd just do a free-for-all. We'll put up the picture and let the chat tell us what's going on.
That's it.
So, yeah, there's always technology in this stuff, man. You just got to be able to see it. So let's take a look. Oh, man. What do you think, Joe?
I never knew what to think about crop circles, to be completely honest with you, man. Like from what from what I know about the subject, and I'm so happy to be exploring it more now, is there was definitely some bunk ones out there from back in the day where people were just having fun creating them and stuff. But it's important to realize, like, before the fraud of it kind of came out, these things had been observed for quite a long time and documented. And as it turns out, there's a lot of studies that were done after the fact that that they had actual scientific findings of differences of where the crop circles were and where they appeared, as opposed to crops that were more of a control and were never affected in any way. And I think MIT did a lot of that research, and they actually had positive findings that the crops grew back stronger, better, more yield, and that they also had chemistry differences to them as well. So I don't know really what to think, to be honest. It just seems awfully similar to a lot of the things that we discussed about some of the benefits of the energy types when it comes to plants and crops and stuff like that. So I think that parallel with it's very interesting.
Yeah, I like the fact that they originally they were showing up next to big things like Stonehenge or something like that. You'd have like an ancient site and then you'd see a crop circle next to it. It used to never be like just everywhere. It was specifically in those spots. So it made you wonder what was so important about them.
Yeah, no, that's for sure too. I think one other interesting kind of point about it too, leading to the validity, is they're not always where you could see them, right? So you could see them from an airplane, let's just say, for instance, or if there's a hill. And I feel like if you're going to put through all the effort of making one of these things, that you want as many people to see them as possible, but they're not always done where they could be seen from above so easily. Like, they're not done over major flight routes, or they're not done in a valley where there's like a hill that you could get on top of and see it. So at that point, who are you making it for if it's fake, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because some of these things are, I want to say, celestial objects that they mark out, and they'll mark out specific technology and rotation. There's a lot of vortexing going on when they do it. I've even seen lunar stuff in there where it looks like a part of a lunar calendar.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you get moon phases in there every so often, and different planetary alignments, or mostly just no matter what they look like, they all look like standing waves.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, some of them look just like fields. Like they literally tried to draw out the biggest field that they possibly can. The one that I used for the cover photo here, it literally looked like two plasmoids in Bob Greenier's Sacred Geometry, just right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, it really does. Wait, Nathan, are you really telling me that these are fields within a field?
Within a field.
Within a field?
Yeah. Oh,
Sounds
that's
like I've
great.
heard that before, just not related.
Oh. You know, I think honestly, at some point, somebody was trying to tell us something, whether it was a human being or was something more. I think there's some validity to some of this stuff. And like you said earlier, the readings that come from the crops and they have a different spike. Now, I'll relate that to Egypt, right? The blue lotus. The ancient Egypt blue lotus had a different spike protein in it than the one that has now today. So it kind of makes you wonder, is that protein the same one they're picking up from these crop circles?
It may well be, and that's something that I wish I knew more about off the cuff, but it sounds kind of related given it's the same thing that's changed about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it might just be a frequency change in the actual plant as, something was on top of it when it was growing,
Yeah,
and then it spiked the protein.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it raises the question: some is it an energy from above, or is it an energy from below? I think that's a relevant question too.
Are you saying that they could have sucked down everything to the ground from
Well, I
underneath?
mean, maybe if the energy field that something's putting out is interacting with the ground energy in a way, and then that is actually what's impacting it. Um, that could be a relevant part of it too.
So,
It
like a
doesn't
vortex
necessarily just
flow.
have to come from above.
So, like a vortex flow. Like it's
Like a
pulling it in.
sympathetic vortex flow. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I always, I saw the old guy out there, like everybody else, and he had that little walking looking thing with the flat thing
Hmm.
he'd probably using concrete work, and he's just going along and knocking it down and stuff like that. That's plausible for some of these. Some of it are so intricate, like you have to be an absolute artist to do them. And then when you start getting protein spikes, that old man ain't out there seeding the ground. He's
Right.
not out there making that crop better. So there's something more going on.
Yeah, it's the protein spikes that really got me on it, and then aside from the protein spike, just like the overall change in the crop, when it grows back. I think that's really significant because that seems to be more to do with the earth, the effect of the soil and everything like that, just as much, if not more so, than the effect itself. So whatever it is that caused it is leaving some kind of effect behind that's then able to um, show the benefits of it the year later.
So let me ask you something. If something was getting in the water and I do the one wire energy, and that'll absolutely change the plant, it changes the proteins in it because it puts it in rapid acceleration as far as the ability for the fluid inside of it to flow. So all the parts that need the water, they get to it faster when you put this type of energy in there like that. So
Mhm.
when you do that, it changes some of the hurdles that it would have to get over in order to make it grow, right? But it also takes in some things from the plants around it. Like, if you put a red daisy next to a blue daisy, could you get a multicolored daisy in the middle? You know what I'm saying? Things like that.
Okay.
That's what it's essentially doing. It's like transmutating a little bit of that plant. So I'm wondering if it's the same process. Some energy type pushed on it, got into the water a little bit, and it structured the water or destructured the water, I should say, so that it flows better in the plant.
Something like that. I mean, we know how these types of frequencies that are generally associated with those types of technologies um, have impacts on like DNA and so on and so forth. So I don't see any reason that there wouldn't be an impact on the plant side of things, or just the mineral composition side of things, or the the plant genetic side. Like, why wouldn't there be?
So, real quick, I just want to tell you, Dennis here says, I agree on the plants and the one wire. I'm testing it now.
Yeah.
You're going to find out that it's going to work. The frequency the energy grounds out mostly, and what happens is the frequency gets in the water, and that's what trying to change it. Bob Boyce was talking about this with his energy smacker thing, which he basically took a Tesla coil, the rod down the center, and structured all the water or destructured the water, and then it would transmutate anytime you put a glass of water that it was structured or unstructured next to like orange juice. It would get that orange juice flavor in it, so it was pulling in the surrounding environment still, like a scalar field built out from the water, and then it was just sucking it in. So that's what's always fascinating about this kind of stuff is the way it's working.
Yep, the water to wine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're getting close to figuring that one out. I just want to know how he got the coloring. Was there coloring already in there, or because you can get the flavor? I've never got the color to change.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably more to it because then now you're dealing. See, the taste is mostly scent, right? And the scent aspect of things, like I think that's probably one of the most misunderstood or understood senses that we have is our olfactory. Is how your nose takes these chemical elements, so to speak, and translate that into something that can be sensed and differentiated to such a high degree, because the difference when there's just such a 1 part per millionth or 1 part per 10 millionth. You notice the difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's hard even for modern science to kind of explain that in a way that ties that together with physics and chemistry in the most like factual way. I think that we just kind of accept it for what we know based on our medical needs, more or less. For doctors to understand it's working and not.
Oh
It's
yeah, for their specific field that they're doing, they just study in line. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of exactly. But if you notice, like, there's sensors that will detect light, obviously, or anything visual. There's sensors that will detect different pressure differentials, and it's equivalent to touch. There's sensors that'll easily pick up on any sort of sound or vibratory, aspect of it. So all of those things are covered. There's temperature sensors, right? But there's nothing really that equals smell, sensor wise, if you notice. That works along the same. Like, you'd have to go into a whole different thing. So I'm just saying, like, in the scheme of like that whole flavor transfer thing, I think that's sort of the understood element of it. But
Well,
that
yeah.
brought us a little off topic.
Well, no, because when you bring up light in this, right? Light is just basically how much magnetic field was in an object, and then it takes on the light. So water has a certain, magnetism in it. So it's like playing with high voltage. You got a certain magnetism, you get a certain light out of it. That's it. And then depending on that value of amps, that's what you get. So when you're dealing with light and water, it could just be that they're changing that slightly and just changing the frequency of it up and down, or adding a secondary frequency to get the color to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be it, because if the plant's already doing it, what does the plant have in it? It basically has water in it, and then it has an original frequency in the plant, and when you're adding to it, right? So when it transmutates between the two into one, then what's the process doing? It's just adding a secondary frequency to it. So that might just be the whole deal.
Yeah, it might very well be too. Right? Is it and are the stalks knocked over as a result of a rotating force, or is it something that we're maybe missing? Is there an attract, like, what if, like, for instance, the stalks are charged in a certain way, and then they're just pulled down to the opposite charge of the planet, for instance.
Well, it's
Like, if they're ionized, and then they're just knocked down that way. It doesn't have to be like a propulsion force. Like it doesn't have to be like a helicopter sort of deal,
no,
for them.
it's almost like they patterned it out, right? They hit the button, and then all of a sudden, every one of the stocks, boom, hit the ground at once. And they did it in one structured way. It was like they had two magnets forcing themselves against each other, and then all of a sudden, boom. You know what I mean? The ground basically took all the energy and made the shape.
Right.
At
Like
least that's what I see.
so sort of like dumping a patterned ionic charge,
Yes.
yeah, onto it, and the ionic charge that you're dumping onto it's opposite that of the Earth, so it'd be positive, and then just as soon as the charge builds up high enough on the stalk, boom, right down to Earth, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't see them out there, little alien guys. You know what I mean? Just doing the little walker thing. I don't think that's how it works at all. I see like old men that are doing it to prank people.
That'd make a funny meme though if you had like one of those plank boards with an alien on it. That'd be funny.
Yeah, that would be good.
Hey, listen, this is all high weirdness stuff. I I love that the fact that the scientific testing that was done years ago on this actually came back with that protein difference and different findings, the objective findings. Um, but at the same time, it's just like because that it was sort of bunk, you know, it always leaves that like residue of doubt. Like even when you could start like postulating all these like potential ways that we know are consistent with the way things work, right? It's still like that residue that exists on me, at least. I don't know.
Hmm. So I'm going to answer a question real quick from the chat. The piezo's down. So point it down. So, yeah, sorry. We're in one subject. I'm multitasking into another one, trying to read everybody.
No, that's good. Yeah, no, don't let the chat go.
No, it's interesting, man, because it's just simply it could be that they're exciting it and then hitting it with a pulse wave. I mean, if we broke it down in terms we could understand, what they're probably doing is more on the Planck scale and working in that direction, where we're not thinking there yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that could be. I don't know how much to do with the Planck scale it necessarily is or isn't. It depends on like the mechanism that you're trying to attribute to creating it. If you're trying to suggest that a craft is creating it, for instance, I don't think the Planck scale has all that much to do with it. If you're trying to say that something other than a human is creating this and it's an energy force creation that we can't really see or sense and it lacks physicality, then I would agree that Planck scale comes into play.
Well, it's not much difference scalar to get to a nuclear. You know what I mean? You have to work on that very tiny scale in order to do it. But that's what I'm saying. The power level is that right there. They're working on such a small scale to produce such a huge amount of power. That's what they're doing. That's why it instantly, boom, down. Because we can't do that. You know how hard it is just to get some piece of metal lifted on with magnets. I mean, and to get something to float in the air. So
yeah, it takes a lot of power through an electromagnet to get that done.
Oh yeah, I mean, so they must be putting a lot. So look, that doesn't discount the fact that if somebody went out there and did this, what are they truly trying to just tell you with the shapes? I mean, it doesn't have to be aliens. It just could be somebody out there saying, "Hey, I know something. Let me show it to you."
Well, I think those people kind of spoke out, and it was sort of for the fun of it. I mean, if you take what they say into account about the hoaxers that did it originally, came out with it, their method was pretty straightforward. They would do the spot and they would put a post that's taller than the stalks, more or less, right? And then they would tie a line to the top of the post. And then that line would be where they start the circle from. Then they would just work concentrically,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like until they're done with like the circle. When you're talking about an incomplete circle, it's just a math equation. You're just going to do half, the pole length. So you're just keeping an eye on the pole. Your pole is your point of reference. If you take two poles and you have that worked out, then you could start making these symmetrical designs. Just by doing the opposite of what you did on the other side. So there is a way. It's a big, like, this is not a quick process.
No.
It's a skillful process, and I think that a lot of the shapes and designs and stuff like that, when you start drawing out circle, things that are symmetrical and circle and stuff like that, and counterbalanced, which is usually what they are, um, they start looking like alien patterns because they share a lot of similarities with sacred geometry, except mostly using circles, which isn't something we're used to. Because if you notice in sacred geometry, circles are like a lesser part of it.
Yeah, that's
Which
true.
is
But one sphere inside of another sphere resonates, and that's a huge part of it. So when you start dealing in something in like fifths or something like that, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 fifths, and you build it out in concentrical circles. That's exactly what they're showing you, piece by piece, going smaller and then bigger, 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 bigger. You know what I mean?
right. No, I agree. Sure.
Yeah, they show you that exact thing. So it's not like they didn't.
Yeah, I mean the designs are well done, and well researched and stuff. I mean, do you have a picture of a couple that we could throw up?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you take a look at this one, man, they did you see all the small ones on the outside?
Yeah.
And it's showing you it started with something and then went to the inside. At least that's the way I see it.
Yeah. And that's 6-pointed.
Yeah.
How many circles from the center?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 8, and then the outside one, and then the inside one. So it'd be 10 altogether, but 8 in between.
8 in between.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, look at the pattern it's building, even in circles right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So, like you said, so it's pretty interesting.
I'm kind of with Dennis on that one. I think that one in particular is man-made.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go with that.
I mean, I think so, but it's still like I'm just still trying to understand the reasoning of the designs because that's significant,
So, well, let's keep looking at them, man, and we'll.
Let's see what we got. Let's see some weird shit.
Oh, that right away, as soon as you said it. Is it an alien pattern there, Joe?
I mean, that one looks a little bit more organic. I think that's straight up an alien head. This is somebody with a good imagination, man.
Well, it goes back to if you can read it in zeros and ones, is the way I think they said this one, is the patterning in that circles with zeros and ones, and it calculated out to make the picture. So if you were to take old DOS and do it and just start typing it in, this is what you'd come up with.
Interesting. Okay. Like how you used to like make like dirty images in a chat room sort of deal. Like with
back in the
dots and apostrophes and such.
Yeah. Little brackets and colons to make little smiles on your pager.
Yeah. 8 equals capital D.
Yeah.
Squiggle,
got
squiggle.
Me, man.
That's cool.
Oh, man.
I dig that. Yeah.
Well, that one comes up a lot. That's one of the ones that always comes up. They say, yeah, it's binary. Let's see. Satellite Voyager. Oh, behind again. Okay.
Well, this isn't there like and I should have probably done a little bit more research so I could name drop, and I never do, and whatever. But I think about it on the spot. Aren't there like stone murals that are very, very similar in circumstance to these, where you can only see the stuff from very high up, but again,
Absolutely.
built in like the desert where there are no high places to see it, but then they date it back to like you know whatever 15-20,000 years ago.
Nazca lines is what you're thinking of.
I'm
They,
thinking of like who's like there's one in like the Americas. It's I forget his name off the top of my head, but like the flute playing dancing Indian guy. I feel like there's a bunch of him. Somebody in the chat help me out with that. Who's the flute playing Indian
well,
dancer?
okay. Yeah, it says Nazca line. They basically have what looks like an airport runway on the top of the mountains.
Yeah.
And then on the bottom, they put out rock structures and clear out the dirt. And they make a whole bunch of different stuff in there. Like, they'll literally show you, how do I say it, like a testicle ring. And then it
Mm.
comes off, and then it looks like an F, right? So that's an antenna. That's the way most people would draw one when they're doing stuff. So that's really what they're showing you. They're showing you the exact stuff that the crop circles are showing you.
Yeah,
This
by
has
the way,
been going on a long time.
Stefan gave me the reminder on that. It was definitely Kokapelli.
Where was it?
Kokapelli, the flute playing dancing Indian guy.
Oh,
He's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
I got Cuckoo Kachu in my head, and I don't know why.
No,
It's so
it's
wrong. I think somebody was spoofing somebody at that.
something, man.
Huh. Oh, man. All right, let's take a look at the next one, Joe. Let's see what we got. Now, here's an interesting one.
Yeah. Okay. I see it. Yeah, because it looks like those pattern rings are more kind of like what I showed you that I sent you with the light on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
where it's sort of like a rope, as opposed to just a straight ring, which would be like kind of difficult to do if you're doing that method with a stick in the middle and walking around with a circle measuring it out. So I mean, something like this, and with the geometry that's built in, seems like, to me, that seems a lot more legit.
This is sacred geometry 101 right here.
Oh yeah.
There's no getting around that. Pattern inside of a pattern. And then it makes a 3D dimensional structure. So yeah,
and the ratios appear correct.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they definitely had a pattern going on here. So whoever created it definitely did.
Yeah, see, something like that. I mean, I would probably give like a little bit more credence to, despite the fact that it's like less artistic potentially than some, or intricate than the rest of them. But yeah, looks like a coil. Absolutely does.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I printed out my coil to wind it on because I'm getting irritated with all the nails that you have to put in and then take it off. It's not tight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I just printed out a whole base for it and said, forget it. And I took wood sticks, you know what I mean? And put them in there so I can do this thing. And I just put the same design as I'm going to use in it on the bottom.
Well, can't you print like a plastic, like a frame in your 3D printer where it has like an outside whatever, like base, so to speak, and then pins coming out of it? Then you could do your windings, and then as soon as you're done with your windings, you could just have another piece that like snaps on.
Yeah, give me a second. I'm going to grab it real quick.
Yeah, hi scientists. I've been saying, like, the residue of skepticism over this topic for me has not washed off. Like, I believe it to be human art too, but it's always fun to play with these subjects and just see, is there more validity than we discuss, or that's commonly known.
Okay, so check this out.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Very cool. You steal that from a temple?
No, this is that's the same shape I'm gonna wind.
Oh, Nathan, where'd you go?
So no, it's the same shape I'm gonna wind it in. It's just I wanted to give it a pattern underneath. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm right on board. That's exactly what I was saying. Is a great solution. It looks great.
Yeah, and
The
then
side, yeah, the Jew coil, exactly.
just the little sticks like this. I gotta cut them down to size, and they go in there, and they wind on them so that I never have to remove them because they're not have anything to do with magnetism or anything to cancel
Yeah,
out
yeah.
fields.
You can even lock it. Like I said, if you printed out another one, you can lock it into place. Then you just glue it together, and then it's locked in.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's got a top part that when it's done, I push it down on there, and this thing is set with insets in it, so that you could take a bolt and screw it down. And you can use plastic, nylon, whatever you wanted. But
Cool.
yeah, that's the way it's set. So it compresses on the outside and allows you to wind it.
Perfect.
So it's going to be just like this winding here. Well, not this specific winding, but you understand what I'm saying.
You could even go a step further too, and I hate to ever be that guy because you know where my step furthers go. It's never anywhere good for the person building it.
Yeah.
But if you used a split pin rather than a round pin, you could get a harder edge on the turf.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
You
Where if
could,
you
but
use
it's
something triangular, you know what I mean? Then you can get to the right angle. Like you figure out what your geometry angles are of
there's
each
there's a,
turn.
there's a reason why it's not that way.
Okay,
And
that's
I
fair.
thought about it. So I'll just tell you, because I'm building an outside winding to it, like an outer core and an inner core,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's got to be round on the outside to go in between them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You need room for everything else to lie.
Yeah, so it literally cannot be, I mean, that way.
I get it. No, I understand.
Yeah, it would script the whole thing. So
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about it that way at first. I was like, I was
no,
just thinking from the perspective of the pins. You know what I mean? But that it's not the matter of the pins.
if there was no outer field, it'd be no problem. Exactly what you're saying would be easy. Yes.
Yeah.
So okay, let's go back and start looking at our stuff here. There's one, man. Guy already
That's some
told you
cool
what's going
stuff,
on.
man. Did you ever hear the reason that they thought that they're more common in the United Kingdom is because farmers don't have guns in the United
Oh,
Right. You go stomping out Jeb's friggin' cornfield, man. He might come and get you. You know?
oh man.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's just what is that, an astrological chart that it's emulating?
It looks like it. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I don't study this one. Oh, yeah. Let's look at another one, man. That's interesting.
I like that one, man. That one's cool.
Wonder
That's
when.
very cool.
So, what do you think that is? It looks like a peanut.
Well, I mean, all it is I mean, it's circles that are inverse onto each other, right? So that center circle is opposite the others, and it's intertoroidal, kind of, if you know.
Yeah, the center one just turned wrong.
Right, it's turned outward. Yep.
Yeah, you turn it back to the center, and then it makes the correct thing, which was the infinity symbol several times.
Yep. That's what you got, man. I like that. That's like a cool tattoo or something, you know? Like, I don't know where you'd put that, but like, whatever.
Yeah, they said it's out of phase.
Tattoos are not just a phase.
No, he said it's out of phase by
I
180 degrees.
know what he
90
meant.
degrees.
I knew what he meant.
Huh.
I'm making a bad joke, as always.
Oh, okay. Yeah, never tattoo her name on there.
Yeah,
No,
I
this
did
looks
that once.
man-made.
Yeah, it does. I don't want to say what that looks like.
Of course. Oh, Joe with another one of those episodes. Wow. So
they don't look
funny.
like they're made out of organite.
Oh, they're making out of the right materials, Joe. How
That's
about
it.
this one? That's wild.
That one is cool. Yeah, no, I dig that. That's huge, man. That farmer was pissed. Gotta go inside and tell your wife that there ain't no vacation this year. You know,
Yeah, no kidding. There's all your
gotta
profits.
check, gotta slow down on her Walmart runs.
There you go. Eighth wants to see that colored one real quick. That one.
Right.
See what he's got about it. All right, Eighth. I put it back. What do you got? Oh. By the way, Joe, I had to edit that whole episode recently. That
Yeah.
one and the bag of D at the end of the rainbow.
Frankly, at that point in the conversation with Eighth, I didn't even know that we were still recording for putting out. I thought we were just having fun, which
We
is why it's
were.
so depraved.
Oh. It says he thought it was showing phi from the center out. Oh, that's probably right. Pi
Could
or
well be.
yeah, pi probably. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I see a spiral in that. I mean, that could be. Although it seems, yeah, I don't know. It's not
No, that looks right.
out of question.
Let me tell you the ignorant version. I saw that on Stargate, and that's exactly how they drew it in the little dirt.
Stargate, huh?
Yeah. Well.
Hey, listen, smart people come up with that stuff, you know.
Okay. Here we go. That one looks like they intentionally built it that way. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the planets in orbit.
Yeah. Yeah, 8 Center says 3.14159. Yeah, that's correct. Not 5 pi. Yeah.
Pi. I was going to say pi.
Pi.
That is not phi. That is pi.
Yes, that's my mistake. My bad reading skills.
It's all good.
Stargate. Yeah, that was it was a good show, man. I like that one. Inner and outer is real. Well, yeah, they're not perfect circles around the sun. That's for sure. I don't know. I mean, if it was an alien race, they would have put them perfect. This is man-made.
Yeah,
So
Matt Walford made it apparently. Good job, Matt.
remember me? Oh, yeah, I remember making that one.
Yeah. You ever see yourself on the news?
Yeah.
Usually that's never a good thing.
Oh, it's funny. All right, let's try another one. Oh, here's an interesting one.
Somebody ain't got no girlfriend. Somebody ain't got no kid. Somebody ain't got no job. That's awesome. I mean, that's amazing. See, something complicated like that. I mean, you know, if it's people, good on them. But something like that, I could almost see.
Yeah.
You know who etched that same pattern more or less, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Sinner, right into a piece of brass that he was using in his organite.
Mm.
You know, a lot smaller and a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, it is cymatics. So frequency in water or frequency in energy, yeah. Yeah, dude, whoever did this pattern, that farmer had to be in on it. Or it had to be aliens, one or the other, because
right. I'm gonna leave that right. The aliens did this one. All right.
Okay. Okay. There you go. 24-bit Taurus hourly split. There you go. 32 hertz looks close to this.
Yeah,
Uh,
standing wave in what medium? I wonder, or just in air.
I don't know. It's interesting though. They did a good job, whoever did it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, this one's cool.
Yeah, that one is cool.
Got a little Aztec design in it on the outside ring.
Yeah.
Which they do have concentrical rings like they always say they do. Interesting.
Yeah, I've never seen one. Not that I've really lived most of my life in a place where you could make these things. Now I do, but I've never come across anything like that.
Oh, you're going to be floating in the middle of a field and you're going to come back with a wild story.
I mean, I saw a UFO over the highway, but I've never seen one of these.
Yeah, we saw that picture.
Yeah, man, that was gnarly. I mean, I don't know what the hell that was, but
So I would prefer ET's write English. Well, wouldn't we all?
mm,
Probably trying to tell you something more understandable.
there
Like
you go. There's your sacred geometry right there. You got the Kabbalah, it's tree of life.
it's very close to the pattern of a diamond.
Well, yeah, it's kind of the geometry of most things. It's right there. We'll have to. That's way too deep of a topic to get involved in right now. All the Kabbalistic stuff. So.
No,
But that's what that is.
it's got a lot of pattern in there. I'll say that. But this one looks a little man-made, Joe. It's not sitting down all that well.
Yeah, well, it looks a little man-made too because it's just like our symbolism.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting one.
That's corn maze.
What did you say it was?
I said that's like a corn maze. That one.
Hmm.
No, that actually looks like like a code, like something that you could like binary code, like no different than like a record.
I thought of record when I saw it. Like where the needle touches down at is the
Yep.
frequency it's on. Yeah. Interesting. They had made it out into zeros and ones when I saw it, and somebody tried to break it down. The zero where there is no line in the little pie shape, and then one where there is a line.
Mm.
But that wouldn't make sense because distance and geometry would say that that's not right. You know what I mean? It'd have to be like 1, 3, 4, depending on distance. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
but how you would overcome that is like with like a Morse code. So rather than think about it like that, what you would do is you would just rotate it at a certain speed, so to speak, read it concentrically, and for the duration that it passes a point, would be a tone or no tone.
the duration. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
over
okay.
time, so it would be a duration thing as opposed to just pure binary.
Like a toy record from the 80s. Yeah, it does kind of look like one of those little plasticky ones.
Yeah, like those plastic disc ones. Yeah.
They just have to be blue, like a light blue that nobody likes.
Yeah, like really, really thick.
Yeah.
Ridges so deep you could like put your thumbnail in it.
Yeah. Oh, we saw this one. Okay, hold on. Oh, here's one.
All right. Yeah, more of the out of phase. That's cool.
Yeah. It's like they zoomed in on certain parts of it. Kind of cool. And they turned it, yeah. Yeah, it's a whole totally opposite of each other on the outsides, and then the center one's turned 90 degrees. Yeah.
Now, right away, this is what I was saying about where is it? Okay, let's give credence to the fact that humans didn't stomp all these things into the ground for 1 second. Okay. if we're to give that credence, and then we look at something like, you remember when I sent you the collider at Brookhaven National Laboratory on Long Island, and I sent you those photos,
Mm-hmm.
and you remember that you could definitely see the ring exactly where the thing is, and then you could see all the patterns that it threw off from the magnetic field of the collider.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, that wasn't a cornfield, so you don't really know what effect it would have. But what I can say is that the vegetation was certainly affected. And
Mm-hmm.
what grew inside the diameter and outside the diameter of the collider is just totally different plants, just totally different entirely. You
Well,
know,
they had
mind
to.
you, people aren't probably planting anything in there. You know what I mean? Like as a crop. So
No, they probably had a vortex going on over it in a magnetic field, and it transmutated a little bit of the stuff, and it killed off a lot of stuff originally. When they turned it on, it looks like they burnt it, and it had like a donut ring.
well, yeah, you could see the vortex spin out from the tree growth, which was cool because it wasn't like, just pure rings around it. It was kind of like a hurricane, it looked like, where it had like 3 or 4 kind of extensions out of the center where the trees like to grow, and then 3 or 4 where they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like in bent and curved shapes that went directly from the center all the way out to the outside ring. Um, So if we're giving any sort of credence and using that as sort of like a baseline, knowing that there could be a magnetic effect, right? Who's to say that like some of them aren't like standing wave magnetic fields on the cold side of energy that are just creating the phenomena? Again, this is if I'm giving it any sort of credence, like that's one possible explanation. That's not a UFO floating above a field burning these things. Well, not burning, but you know what I mean? Like, pressing these things into the ground. So
Well,
there's
yeah, you're
more than one
dealing
way
with
to look at it.
two sides of energy. One's a hot energy, where it's going to burn it, and then things will regrow in their own way. The
Mhm.
other side seems like a cold energy, where you're affecting the water.
Yeah.
So,
And right. And so if you're affecting the water and you're immediately affecting the crop, but then the water has a memory and holds that structure, then the next season when you go to plant in the water table, maybe that gets passed along into the better result that they see in the fields that are affected with a crop circle.
like they all go right into the minerals of the ground and stay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's interesting, huh?
We're crack
That's a,
right. We're cracking the code. We're not just saying, we're not really saying anything other than, well, okay, if it's not people and we're not saying it's aliens for a second, what else could it be? And these are actually more plausible than either, you know, other than the people doing it, because we know people do it.
yeah. Well, there's no question people do it. The more interesting thing is what the pattern is and why they're trying to show it to us.
Right. Yeah. Well, then that's just as interesting as the rest, because, you have to wonder what some other people know that maybe they don't say.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that goes on. A lot of people can't read a lot of this stuff. So let's look at some more, Joe.
All right. Let's go.
Well, there's an interesting one.
Yeah. Kind of looks like a molecule.
Yeah.
Something.
There's a little happy face on one. Um,
That's funny.
you know what? Part of this, it looks like fractal geometry, like an antenna in your cell phone.
Yeah.
And they do this in alchemy as well. They have symbols that look similar to this.
Mhm.
So, yeah, there's definitely somebody trying to tell you something. Now, I'll try to go closer in to see if it looks man-made or not. They can't really tell.
And man, some of them are so clean, and that's sort of what's so mesmerizing about them in general is just like, no matter what it is, if it's not high technology, like there's a lot of skill and thought that goes into these things.
It's an address. Drop your alien goods here. It's
Hey,
like,
listen, if they didn't want to be cryptic about it, they wanted to get straight to the point, they just press a friggin' troll right in the middle of a troll emoji right into the middle of the field.
oh, yeah, they're viewing it from way above. Yeah. I think this one's bunk only because they put a smiley face on it. That's totally somebody messing with us, just having fun.
I'd say.
But they did a good job.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I saved this one just for you, Joe. What does that look like?
I mean, that looks like well, first of all, the first thing it looks like to me is the shutter of the camera. Second thing, like the aperture, second thing it looks like is it was like a torus, man. It's like a donut.
Yeah. Reminds me of half of a rodent coil.
It does. It looks just like a rodent coil.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, man. Yeah, but a camera aperture, I never even thought about that, but you're right.
Yep. It's got the shutters.
Yeah, maybe the guy was just messing with us, telling he likes to take pictures.
It could well be. But if you were to think about a UFO craft, I would imagine that being sort of what the bottom would look like.
John says it's an iris. I thought he said it's the IRS. I'm thinking, oh no, now they're trying to get me with crop circles.
Yeah, no, we're trying to get rid of them. Don't you see what we're doing?
Oh, yeah, that's achievable. I agree with that. All right, let's go to the next one. Well, there's an intricate pattern.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's viewed in the wrong way. I can't turn it, but if you turned it to the side, then the center one looks like a vortex top and bottom with the plasmoids on the outside, or a torus that would be 360 degrees around it, and it would create a field. So that would look right.
Yeah, I actually know how to, and we could do it another time because I got to use my phone to do it, but I know how to manipulate that photo so you get a more dead-on view of it from like above.
Okay,
Just have
that
to
would help.
re-perspective it and then skew it and then reproportion it. It's not that big of a deal.
Oh, you say that. Oh, I spent so much time reproportioning things to get them in the right order, man. So, yeah. Talk about reproportion. I'm going to drop a link here in the chat. So, everybody, I have a podcast channel, and I reproportion it so that everything comes out in 9:16, so that just for your phone. So, and it goes as a podcast, so you can pull it up on the YouTube Music app, and you can get the show there and just listen to it, and you can watch it. It's on there in the correct format so that you can watch it as well. I take my time to reformat everything. So here we go. I'll leave the link in the description. So
yeah, I tried to reproportion myself one time. I tried to make the Franken beans bigger, but then I just got smaller and it stayed the same.
oh man,
Terrible.
there you guys go. It's my podcasting channel. So a lot of interesting stuff on there. All right. Real quick, Joe, before we go on, it is the top of the hour, and I promised I would do this, so I'm going to.
Let's do it.
So give myself a little advertising, guys. Have some fun.
In a world consumed with big words to describe simple things, a voice for the people arises, not afraid to tell the truth, not afraid to be wrong, and defiantly not afraid to meme the shit out of people, even himself, if the time calls for it. He is the Old Man Builds. He asks for your humble participation in his channel by becoming a member. Now you can throw up the emoji that sticks it to the man, or just asks, "What the F?" But don't forget about his Patreon. All the PDFs you need for anti-gravity, free energy, and the understanding of harmonics. All the links will be in the description, including Old Man Build's new podcast channel. It is time to break through the physics, jibber-jabber, and finally get this done. Let's effing go.
Step and go.
Oh man, that's so funny, bro.
Yeah, I love it.
That is great. Oh, there you go. Throw it up in the chat, guys. Just throw up the emoji, man, and have a blast with them, man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, for what it's worth, it's always time to devolve. Get back. Don't worry, we'll bring it back. We devolve a little bit. It's fine.
Yeah. All right. We'll get back to work now.
All right, back to work.
Oh man. Well, if you don't tell people, they never know, and they don't know where to get the information if they want to look for more. One of the things before we go back to it is I'm going to start doing coil winding on my Patreon. So I'm going to painfully put myself on there winding my coils. So when I do this geometry coil, it's going on there. So you'll know exactly how I wrap it. So now we'll all have to find out if it's good or not, but at least then you'll have it and you'll be able to figure out your own. So,
and don't forget like the member section on YouTube also. A lot of the stuff that you'd have to like dig far and deep into like 3 hour long videos to like pull out, that stuff is just like separated out and on there for you. And a lot of times you get it ahead of time too. So if that's something you use and appreciate, then more power to you. It's just more incentive to join. So not to mention the old Star Trek stuff that we're gonna have to get back into.
Oh, dude, I did a video, and I don't know if Joe will let me play it, but it's absolutely freaking hilarious. Okay,
I have no shame, man. It's only the internet in the entire world. Just play it.
Okay, at the end of the show, I promise to play it. Okay, and it's absolutely hilarious because I took him completely out of context with one picture, and dude, it made my day, Joe. Let me just tell you that.
Yep. Well, now that I know what you're talking about, yeah. Thank you.
Now you're like, don't show it.
That's complete and utter deprivation.
All right, guys, here we go. Let's take a look. All right, we left off on this one. Let's go to this one. That same one. Oh, here we go. No.
Like a bong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it looks like an antenna.
It does look. It looks just like an antenna. Absolutely.
Little Star Trek Enterprise right there in the center. It's got the little T for the booster rocket things or whatever they're called. Little center circle. They mean just see in Star Trek.
Well, Paulie says he's a specialist at reading these things. I'd love to hear his perspective on these because it's a total amateur hour, having fun, speculating, and just tying it into like the things that we know. But if you see something that we're missing, like which I'm sure you will, please put it up in the chat. And if you're really into it, maybe we should have you on.
Yeah, no problem there. Yeah, come on, show it to us, describe what it is, man. We'll sit around and listen and learn. So, yeah, for sure. Wormhole travel. Well, I don't know about that one. I don't know if that's quite wormhole travel. Hold on. See if I can't zoom in. Look. You see the Star Trek now?
No.
There it is. That probably just looks like a blurred out picture now. All right, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a cool
work.
one.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Cool. He said contact me. Nice.
Very nice. Yeah, it's like a POG design from the 90s.
Yeah. Trying to look at it in different ways. I think it's cool that the lines of the field go right down the center of it. Like, I wonder if they planned it that way.
I mean, they must have some kind of point of reference, and like these fields, if they're working fields and stuff, they have to have tractor lines and stuff for their equipment to go up and down. So, they're probably exploiting something that's already there.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sure that they are. It's just cool that they designed it to shoot the center.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love it.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. Well, there we go. That one's a little more understandable.
Oh,
a little more like Eighth was talking about, right?
Yeah. It's like a crazy like S coil.
Well, it's like the spiral, and it would be like, if I'm not mistaken, they're in opposite directions.
Yeah, they're opposite directions exactly.
Yeah,
One's
so
clockwise, one's clockwise.
it'd be kind of like connecting that coil he showed us for the orgonite.
That's exactly where I was going. Yeah, I think he called it an S coil.
Yeah.
But S coils are a little different because of how they run, but it's similar principle there. It's just double.
It says the white hole and the black hole spins.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Oh man,
That's probably my favorite one so far, just because like of the simplicity and
yeah. This would slow down a signal. Yeah, well, that could be a good thing, at certain times. Yeah. Okay. Man, I should have turned this sideways, but that's interesting all in itself.
Oh yeah.
Now, if it was opposite directions, you'd think more of DNA, but you know what I mean? Is this more DNA than what we're normally looking at?
Well, that's only a single helix. Looks like single helix.
It looks like one of Sean's tendrils from his coil.
It actually does. And shares a lot of the same geometry there because of how the overlap is. This reminds me, and I know this is silly, but it just reminds me of like if I'm drawing and I'm drawing a rope, it's the same way that you draw a rope. Your little S curves around a center line,
Yeah, but you'd also draw the outside hump for the other side, and you'd make it look dimensional.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Kind of interesting. Well, that one looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to think of that. That's like, I don't even know. All right. Now, I'll just say this. That looks man-made, but it's totally awesome.
Tell you what, that one looks the most similar to what I was saying earlier about the collider. Like the patterns in the collider.
Yeah.
That's really, I mean, it looked almost just like that.
Yeah.
Like with the pattern of the tree growth and everything. Like, yeah. Very much like that.
Yeah, pure purple plasma was amazing. Yeah, Sean is amazing. And he does great work. He's got an orgonite plug in the comments. I won't put it up, but you can see it. Oh, man, that was so funny. That just cracked me up every time.
Activate root chakra.
Yeah. You're going to hear that later. Oh.
See, but like those, you see how like those lines are, they're not perfectly like concentric with each other, right? And that's more of like a natural flow pattern than anything.
Yeah, it's going in and out of resonance in a vortex. That's what it says to me. But that's
well, it becomes like parabolic, I think, right? Isn't that the word?
I think so.
I think, so like it gets distorted at certain turns, where the distortion pushes out and as it pulls back in. So it's not perfectly spherical in that sense. And I think that's makes this one pretty cool.
Yeah, Boss 221 says asymmetric capacitor. That could be. I was using my bifilar coil as a capacitor earlier today. I fried so much stuff today, Joe. Between last night and today. Yeah.
It was one of those days. You had, like start from scratch.
Okay, let me just tell you this. I put a trigger circuit in, right? And, well, I'm trying to push this thing so that I can get a counter-rotating disc. So as it hit one frequency, it was turning to the right. And then I turned it just barely on the frequency, and it started rotating left, right? Just when I got everything to go right, I had the exact amount of voltage and amps in there. Then I had the right frequency. Then all of a sudden, things start setting on fire. So big smoke plumes come up, and I got things on fire. And I'm going, oh my God, dude, I need a better trigger circuit, right? More heavy duty one. So I blew 3 of them in a row, trying to get this one photo so everybody could see the counter rotation between the different frequencies. It was a complete disaster.
It's the best.
So, yeah, because it's important to see, because it's a stall rate. When you hit a different frequency, it stalls it. So it looks like it's going backwards in slow motion, right? When you're doing it real slow. But if it's running at a high RPM, it's just slowing the disc so it doesn't rotate at the same speed. And
Right.
It's a stall. So I wanted to show that for everybody in the Gravity Flyer group, but again, things didn't agree with me today.
Mm. Yeah, well, it happens. It happens to the best of us. But isn't that just more of an optical illusion than it is anything else, though?
No, because it actually does it. So
Okay.
once it goes into resonance between the two discs, the upper one slows down.
Okay.
Because of the eddy current in it, it'll slow down and it'll look like a stall. Like it's stalling, and then it picks up energy like crazy. Because it dropped it right into resonance. So
Very cool. Well, I can't wait to see that. That's cool.
a book called Irish Wisdom is the Bible of the Pyramids, and let's see, McCarty, 121. God, I'm reading this bad.
Yeah,
I know I did that wrong.
you're not doing so hot there.
No.
Just started to read a book. It's called Irish Wisdom Preserved in the Bible and the Pyramids by Color McDarry, 1923. Very interesting. I've never heard of it. Well, it's cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, sorry for pronouncing it awful and making a mess of it.
So it's like this big on my screen. And I'm sitting there like, like my eyes are tearing from reading that.
UFOs creating crop circles footage from 96. Interesting. A Kashmir force capacitor. Boston's got capacitors on his mind, man. All right. What do we got here? Oh, well, that's just interesting.
Someone got to work. Someone got to work.
Dude, seriously.
Oh, man.
Like, that hurts me just to look at it with how much work is in it.
I commend the patience of people, man.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, but what are the odds that that's some kind of like, earth field thing too? That's what I'm saying. It was like maybe that's a total realm of possibility.
Hey, I got something for you. Maybe, like, Liz was saying with the people of Atlantis, that maybe they are still here. And maybe they're trying to drop things in. And then when you're ready to hear it in the way they're ready to say it, they'll pass on the knowledge. You'll finally get it. You know what I mean? I think maybe that could be going on here. There's a civilization smarter than us that keep putting this stuff out, or having people put it out, or however you want to say it. But they're getting it out, and we're just not quite seeing it yet because we're not understanding resonance properly and patterns and things like that. And it's all our future tech.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say an observation that I've made, and if anybody in the chat wants to make commentary, because frankly, I don't really know. But what I notice is in some of the mountains where I live here now, right? First of all, like where there's known caverns and stuff like that, which there's a lot of them around here. A couple of them are like major tourist attractions even. There's some of the most heavily wooded areas that are above these caverns. Okay. Now, if you go to the other sides of the mountains where they put they run high power lines over them, they run 5G towers and stuff on top of them. You can always pick them out on top of this beautiful mountain where it goes over, because right where it reaches the point where it crests the mountain, everything dies right at that point. It just becomes bare. Now, I don't know if this is from them clearing the area just so nothing screws with the power line and or the cell tower, or if this is an impact of the power line of the cell tower. But it doesn't look like there's access points running along where, like, the power lines, for instance, are going up the mountain. All that is wooded and kind of clear. It's where it crests the top.
Do you think that they dropped something in the ground so things wouldn't grow there?
I don't know. I don't know if it was just cleared, and then maintained, or if it's just, but it doesn't appear to be that way, because, like, come the spring, could they have chemically treated the ground? Yeah, maybe, because come the springtime when everything's greening up, that's still brown. Right. And it's only right at the top. Like, you can pick it out. It's like you see the power line, and then you see, like, on either side of it, for maybe like 100 feet or something on either side of it, it's just dead.
Hey, Lulu, put this up here. She says, what if it's a resonator, Joe?
I mean, could be.
Yeah, those power lines are interesting. There's always something going on, man, and they always say there's not. And I guess it's really depending on how susceptible you are to frequency. Because I get blasted with frequency all day, and since I'm mostly deaf, I can't hear anything. Let me tell you something. Maybe that's why things were blown up, because all the frequencies were there, but I couldn't hear it. And I'd be better off with a machine over there with the mic where I can just turn it on and listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, the power line stuff is strange, though, because, like, I used to hunt along power lines and stuff, and what's crazy is you come up to them, and you'd be in the woods, and then there's your power lines, and the same exact thing, now that I'm thinking about it, where I used to hunt. 100 feet on either side of those power lines, there's nothing growing. And I always just never really thought about it, to be real. Like, I just figured it was cleared. But now that I'm kind of, like, realizing, I don't think so.
Yeah. Got to see if they got an access road, because from what you're saying, they don't.
Yeah.
Okay, so right here it says Noelle is her name, and we all understand that, but we all know her as Lulu. So, let's see. There's a YouTube video you can play a slideshow of almost all of the UFO going back to the 90s. Interesting. He says he always watches that one. I'll have to watch that one. If you could send it to my email, I'll put the email in the chat right now. There you go. That'd be cool, man. And then we could play that on air. All right, here we go. Well, that's an interesting design. Looks like the flower of life in the center.
Yeah, that looks like one of those sacred geometry, like that they would do a, like, stained glass window after in like a cathedral.
Yeah, it looks like interwoven peanuts. Remember that one we showed earlier? It looks like a peanut.
Interwoven peanut.
It really does, dude. Like, it's peanut here, turn peanut, turn peanut. It's
Yeah. Okay, lots of peanuts.
Yeah, they really got their nuts involved on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You ever see the man inside of a peanut with a mustache?
Not that guy. Usually it's a little golden peanut. not the man. Oh. Let's see. Magnetic on through and R electric. Man, I screwed up that one too. Yeah. Magnetic and electric fields. Yeah, I can see that. Not quite exactly how I pictured them, though. Hmm.
All right. Life under a microscope. No UFO until after Victor Schauberger provided them to the world. His letter was found in the prison camp in Austria where he talks about atom smashing. Interesting.
Hmm. Well, you saw that clip that he did with the water that turns up on itself and goes in the vortex. He clearly had it.
Hmm.
They go. It was funny in the documentary. His kid goes, well, they couldn't find a whole lot of amperage with it, so they thought the force was nothing. Like, dude, this guy was literally working with anti-gravity, and he found one of the weak forces, and you just like dismissed it. Are you seriously thinking about that? Like, oh, they couldn't find a power use. Hey, Brainiac, it wasn't made to make power. It was made to make anti-gravity. It was one of the most frustrating times I've ever had watching a documentary. But I did love the water stuff.
All right. Yep. Society says good old wind-up spring. It's also the same coil that Sinner, puts in
Yes.
his organites. That's the S coil that he uses.
Yes.
But yeah, that'd be found in a lot of old toys and things that like to turn and then go back.
Which movie was he talking about? Signs? I saw Signs, a movie. That was really good. Maybe you want to get out a tinfoil hat and watch it. Thing was awesome, yep. Black Mirror, huh? Black Mirror just put up a new season. Haven't watched it. I've never seen Black Mirror. Have you?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that. I mean, sounds good. Is it on Netflix? I'll check it out.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, man. The Schauberger was a genius, regardless of his affiliation anywhere. The man knew what he was doing. So.
Yeah, I mean, affiliations aside, like you said, I mean, unfortunately, morality and genius are two separate things entirely. Well, there you go.
Yeah, we were looking at one similar to this earlier.
Yeah, that's something else, man.
Always wondered if the Aztecs were showing us something, or Mayan, whichever you want to say, were showing us something. The same thing that people with Atlantis would have showed it, just in a different format. Probably the same thing.
I'm not entirely convinced that the Aztec and the Mayans weren't the Atlanteans, to be real. What that crazy Indian guy said.
Oh yeah,
Remember?
he said it was all Pangea, is what he said. And it was all connected
Some
as one.
island was, I don't know what he was saying. Half the stuff he was saying was total malarkey, but then at the same time, he was saying a couple things that totally caught my attention that I was like, I give so much more credence to this if he just didn't say a whole bunch of other stuff that like is absolutely untrue.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna dissect that video of the Indian guy.
Yeah,
And,
it'd be interesting.
See how much woo there is on that.
Oh, here's an interesting one. Yeah, I'd like to see that, Joe, because that guy was talking some mad stuff.
He was right. I mean, it was pure like everything he said, something you've never heard said before.
And that lady, that lady on the video was just, there it is.
Uh-huh.
What were you doing? Like, he did all the work.
Yeah. It's like, right. You know how they say, well, you can't ever say anything that's never been said before? Yeah, that guy proved us wrong there. Because
No, he did. Oh, he did.
That stuff was never said before by anybody. I wish we had that video to show because honestly, it was like, woo!
Oh, yeah. Totally woo.
But yeah, he said that the Aztecs were the Atlanteans. And I was like, that actually kind of makes sense.
Well, that part makes sense, yes.
That part actually makes sense. I believe, a part of me believes that.
Yeah, and it
fits right in with what Liz was saying too. Born in South America and brown skin, and now they're looking for that secret plant in the Amazon rainforest, and like all that makes sense. I mean, we've always said that the cures to everything that you need is in the rainforest, right? That's been said forever.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think it's there. Not in the way they think it is.
Mm.
Remember, if they had pyramid power, it means that their whole ground was transmutated, every plant that was in there. So it would take on traits for other plants. So you have to look at what the healing qualities of each plant were that they actually had. And then I guarantee you there's a hybrid that came out of all of it.
Oh, what, like the direwolf?
Well, no, I'm just saying it's like,
Yeah, but see, the stuff we're doing today is kind of like that. It's sort of like that a little bit.
yeah.
It's like genetic engineering,
Well,
which that was very cool, by the way, that they did that.
yeah, I think that that's what they were doing with the plants. They planted them all in. They were all aquatic type plants or around water. And they literally went in there and it formed a whole nother version of the plant. That's why everything's similar, but also dissimilar at the same time.
Yeah, right, because the structured water would be the critical aspect of that. So if you have the structured water structured the right way and the plant's growing in it, it becomes sort of genetically modified and then has different effects at that point through the
Well,
structuring of the water.
they said they had the plant before they built the pyramid. So let me just throw this out there. If you understood the technology before you built the pyramid, which they did, you obviously wouldn't build a huge pyramid, you know what I mean, if you didn't know what was going on fully. So they must have had it before.
And what's older, the pyramids in South and Central America, or the pyramids in Egypt? Because I don't really hear anybody giving answers on that one.
Yeah.
And every time they come out with an age on something, they find out that it's exponentially older than they previously thought, each and every time.
Yeah, carbon dating is kind of poo, isn't it?
Well, the way that they were doing it.
It's like, here's a roundabout number where it could be right.
Right. What they're testing is like the oxidation layers of of the material and stuff like that, and then hoping to get to the bottom of it. And it's like, but it's not necessarily the way it goes.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting one. I won't even try to read it, Joe. That's up to you. He was using
I don't know which one you put up. Hold on. I'm going to have
in
to get really close
2008.
to that one. In 2004, Umberto decided to use crop circles as an inspiration, a blueprint for a mechanism that he believed could deliver a source of free energy, similar to the ultimate goals of Nikola Tesla. I had to get so close to read that. It was so small.
Sorry.
No, it's good.
Yeah, you know what? It could have been. I mean, even this right here, depending on the structure underneath the surface, what minerals are there, could just be an organite, and they could, have layers upon layers, and they put this thing over top of it, draws in energy. You never know with these things, man.
Right. Well, that's a whole other, that's a remarkable thought, right? Man-made, but at the same time, the geometry of it alone is capable of bringing in the extra energy, and that bringing in the extra energy leads to the better crops in the end. Which, frankly, if anything, that's the most plausible of them all, and that goes right in line with like the Kazarev mirror and stuff like that, and how just the shape of that surface is enough to bring in the energy, right, and act as a funnel. So, sure,
Yeah.
I'm actually super on board with that, because that says it's man-made, that there's a purpose, that the purpose is geometrical, it's geometrically observable, and it also explains the potentially the findings that they had after the fact, and ties directly in with the idea that cold energy is at play.
There you go.
Does that cross T's and dot I's?
Yeah, it does. I'm
Sounds
good with
like it
all that.
does. Yeah, dead on, man. I love that.
All right, we got something here from Mike Jones. He says the crop circles are footprints of meat-eating aliens. Okay, they came and ate the dinosaurs, and predictably came back to check on the mammals to see they were fattened up.
Who said that? Who?
Mike Jones. He has a donut guitar as a symbol.
Wait, who?
Mike Jones.
Who?
Don't even do this with me.
You might be a little too old for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
281-330-8004.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
see,
yeah.
he knows what I'm talking about. It's his name, so.
Buddy. All right, let's look at another one. Now that I feel old. Oh, I think that's it. That's the end of my list.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah, we got some good ones in there. I'd be interesting to see whatever the people have, you know what I mean? And do another episode on it. That'd be good.
Yeah, man, I'd love to hear what other people say, but frankly, I think that last comment from just before Mike Jones, I think that one cracked it open. Sorry that I forget who put that.
Yeah. Well,
I love that. I think that's encompassing. That is now what I believe.
the whole purpose behind all of it now. You'll never look at another crop circle without it.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. Oh, God, I need to reboot my Commodore 64. Oh, that's old. My Tandy 1000 or my IBM. All the old school 80s stuff where you had to type everything in and you always told it naughty stuff to do. And it says, I don't understand that. And you just get frustrated and type in more stuff. So, yeah.
Believe it or not, I had one of those things. It was the hand-me-down.
Was it?
Yeah. DOS floppy disks.
Oh, yeah. Your whole big thing when you wrote code for that is you wrote something just so it could, like 10 rows of code just so you could have one word. And
okay,
totally
so if you knew how young I was when I actually had this thing handed down to me, the fact that I was able to access anything on it without any instruction whatsoever, it's like I got a couple programs to run one time and I was like, wow. I was like 4 years old. How do you input any sort of DOS code when you're 4 years old? You know what I mean? Without any instruction. I got things to run on it. I don't know how. I have no idea. I think I hit run. You know what I mean? Like, you had to like figure that out, though. It's insanity.
You got to find the exe file in order to turn it on so it'll run. Yeah.
Yeah. // like.
Yeah.
You know, how mean of my mom was that to give me that thing and then just like had no instruction on how to use it. I don't think she knew how either. I think that's the problem.
It probably kept you quiet for a long time. That's probably why she gave it to you.
Probably did because I didn't give up. Yeah, that was it. I'd get bored and play Nintendo after that. That was like right next to it, you know?
Oh, dude, we played Maze Craze, which was basically just a little square like you get in your, Sunday little booklet on the mazes, and you draw right through there. Same thing, man.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I used to have a whole entire thing of floppy disks like this tall. You know, it was like I didn't know how to read. You know, like some of them were most of them were bootlegs. Some of them were like had a picture on it. I'd always go for the ones with the picture on it. And that's now see this. I'm jarring my own memory. That's how I figured it out. There's instructions on what you have to type in sometimes.
No, is there?
On the floppy disk, you know? So I think I just emulated that and was like, oh, look, it's running. And I'm pretty sure that's how I did it now that I'm kind of thinking back. I haven't thought about it never since it happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, maybe you guys are right, man. All the memories are all in there. You just got to find a way to access them.
That's it. I never had a reason to think about that until right now, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, we were playing, what was it? Pac-Man, but it wasn't really Pac-Man because they couldn't afford the license to it. So it was a generic version of Pac-Man. There was that, and never any of the cool game. Pong. I played Pong a lot when I was a kid.
Pong. Yeah, I grew up in Nintendo age. Yep.
Back before I bought my first Nintendo with my brother, and like I bought the Nintendo, he bought the games, and then we just used all our money we did working for my mom, and man, that was just so fun. That was like all kinds of fun.
I'll tell you what was actually cool though. This is a little good history on me. My grandfather was a graphic designer before a graphic designer was a thing. You know, like he worked for like a magazine company doing like all their advertisements and stuff. So he used to have the most outrageous computers, the most outrageous software and everything like that. He had
Hmm.
Windows like the moment it came out, you know, and he also had all sorts of like the cutting edge video games of the time, and there was just no sense of responsibility whatsoever in my family ever. So like I remember when I was like maybe 4 years old at best, 5 years old maybe, I was like playing like Wolfenstein 3D on the computer and stuff. You know, it was like a DOS program, dude, all sorts of 3D graphics. He had color laser printers back in the early '90s in his own home office. He was like out of control than my grandfather, you know, with that stuff. But I grew up playing all that stuff,
Yeah.
and you know, then I got my own PC, like a real PC, shortly then after. Then I didn't have to deal with that, you know, nonsense anymore. And yeah, the first Need for Speed, I remember I had a CD-ROM for that thing, dumping that thing in, playing. This was all sorts of good times with that Doom. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt still has the Atari. I got an old Nintendo sitting behind me in one of the drawers. So, yeah, we
Yeah.
all got the good stuff, man. They
Yeah.
sell those things, man, a whole bunch of that stuff for good money now. It's like collector's items for the gold Zelda or something. I don't
Oh,
remember.
please, that stuff costs a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, he misses neon. Yeah, all LEDs now. Oh, Montezuma's Revenge. I remember that one. Oregon Trail. I never played that, but heard of it.
Oregon Trail, yeah, Oregon Trail was a good one.
Was it?
That was a DOS game to the extreme. They had it on Macs too. Now I'm thinking about it. I think they even had it on our school computers.
Yeah, I just finish up real quick on the crop circles and stuff. I don't think the debate needs to be if aliens put them there or if man did it. I think the debate needs to be what are they saying? Like, what was the purpose of it? What were they intending for you to learn out of it? Was it, hey, you need to go back and learn your geometry? Did you understand fractal frequencies? You know what I mean? And things like that, and radio signals. How do you put them together? What was the vortex? Why would we look at a vortex? What kind of technology was there in resonance when you do? I mean, those are the questions we should ask. Whether they're aliens or not, I mean, I could care less, to be honest with you. I care more about what the technology was. If they're trying to give us something for free, hey, by all means, it's up to me to understand it, right?
Yeah, I wasn't really buying the whole alien made them thing at any point in time, but you know, like definitely more to know about the stuff just based on the geometries alone. And yeah, I'm on board with you there. Now, when it comes to the intent of the makers and stuff, I do feel like a part of it, like if I had to speculate on it, part of the intent is just the ease of sequencing when it comes to making circular type stuff and alternating the patterns. Because if you're looking at the technique at hand of the way that they would make it,
Mm-hmm.
the patterns that are ultimately produced, like a lot of the ones we saw today, are what you would come up with.
Gotcha.
Now some of the more intricate and insane ones, I mean, listen, there's artists out there that'll blow your mind in every sort of way, whether it's music, painting, writing, it doesn't matter. So this is no different than that, I suppose. But I think that there could be more to it for some people, that they are trying to relay some sort of message to it, and maybe they do know a bit more. I think others just happen to be, this is I don't want to say what's easy to make, but it's sort of the natural development of the process, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Well, I agree. Yeah. So, I don't know, Joe. I've seen some with orbs over it, though.
Mm.
Those are the ones that worry me. Those are the ones like,
Yeah.
well, you got me
Yeah.
there. You got orbs over it, or you got like a UFO over it, and then you got me. I can't say no. I mean,
And then there's the other part of it too. Is if let's say it's human technology, right? Let's say that they're using directed energy weapons just to like test their accuracy or whatnot. What easier way than to sit there and just friggin' run like lines on a field and just then you can immediately see how accurate you were.
Yeah.
And by doing complex patterns is a great way to test that accuracy. Consider it like a benchmark, like the same as you would do on a 3D printer, right?
Yeah. So, a question here: could an antenna drive a Tesla coil? Well, antenna is one frequency; it has to be in resonance. So, if the frequency of the antenna was the same frequency as the coil itself, the number 2 coil by itself, yes, because then they would be in resonance with one another. The thing is, it has to be dead on, like no messing around. It has to be dead on. Not a little bit off, not a point something off. It has to be dead on. So, yeah, you definitely could.
A tuned antenna.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right there. Perfect. Yeah, you can also, look, guys, silly fact, I turn on Tesla coils all the time with scalar waves, pulse waves, magnetic waves. All you're doing is literally squeezing the bottom of the coil and then it pulses out. That's as simple as it gets. There's no mystery to it. It's just, can you understand the conversion? Because you're going to literally convert amps to volts. And a lot of people have trouble with that because they got a big hard on for amps when it comes to Tesla coils. And they can't understand you when you say, well, it's coming out volts in the end. And they're like, but I got all these amps. And it's like, gee, no, it's really all voltage in the end. It's just a conversion rate. So, yeah, but yes, you can turn it on that way. Just got to know what you're doing. It's very difficult to do. It literally took me days to get coils right, to get it to start turning things on. It was not an easy process.
Yeah. Yeah, antennas are funny that way. I mean, there are broad spectrum antenna geometries that would probably be a lot easier to throw into resonance than just some kind of standard antenna. Or
Well, they're fractal.
Yeah.
So if you're saying it's a fractal antenna, right? So in your cell phone, can you turn it on with that? Yes, but you have to match the frequencies. The thing is, an antenna that's fractal, I don't know that it's high kilohertz that would be in your Tesla coil. You may be looking at hertz. So that's one of the biggest conversions you're going to have to make is you either have to understand harmonics and do it in quarters, halves, or thirds, or you're going to have to build a giant Tesla coil, and I mean a couple feet high, just to get that thing to work. And then you'll have the correct frequency. So we don't usually build them that big. That's part of one of the problems is we don't build them at the hertz level. We build them in the kilohertz. So,
right.
And converting, even if you have the math, is very difficult. So that's why that guy's car would be so interesting if he's taking the, that car that runs on basically radio waves. If he's just converting it from a Tesla coil to put something in resonance in order to do it, then yeah, he's converting in quarters, thirds, halves, stuff like that, probably sixteenths, to be very honest with you. And then he has to convert it back to hot energy at that point. Oh, there you go.
We have a visitor. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's been bothering me for the last 5 minutes. So
just like a little human, huh?
Yeah, just exactly like that. Love it when an 80-pound dog thinks he's a lap dog,
Oh, man. Yeah, but that guy's car was interesting. Gerald talked to him, actually. I saw a thing. Yeah. He got to speak with him. It's on Gerald's channel, so it's an interesting watch.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, so if you have the frequency of the antenna, right, then all you need to do is match that up with the frequency of your number 2 coil. That's it. Now, understand once they hit each other, they're going to become resonant to each other. That means the frequency is going to drop between the two. So, where say if they're both 350 kilohertz, right? Well, the resonance frequency of it is going to be closer to 250, because when they get in resonance with each other, then the frequency drops a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Well,
hopefully
right.
that's understood.
That makes sense.
Because it's a resonance frequency at that point. If you added a pulse, it would be a resident frequency.
Right.
Right now, you just have frequency. So
Yeah. Well, when you're dealing with resonance in general, like there's an innate amplification that comes when something falls into resonance, and with that amplification would usually come with an in tune. If I'm thinking about it from frequency, like as an audio frequency, right? An in tune fluctuation of the octave usually would drop, but it would become louder and amplified.
okay, so let me put it this way. Let's see if this. Oh, wrong one. I gotta share it again. Oh, this one right here, Joe. This is why it reminds me of it. Okay. It goes in and out of resonance. So therefore the speed and timing is going to be different. That's why it changes the resonance value. So you get an amplification of energy and then it reduces down. You know what I mean? So the speeds change. So as the speeds change, your frequency changes. It'll go like this. So as I move my hands in and out, just understand the spiral here, because that's ultimately what you're building. There's times where it goes faster because there's less resistance. There's times where it goes slower because there's more resistance, which means when the more resistance comes, you have bigger amplification.
Well, right, isn't that where the stereotypical UFO sound would come from? Like whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah,
whoa. There you go.
Hmm.
And it's an offset beat frequency, is what it is.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. It's all fractional geometry or fractal geometry, if you want to call it that, and it's all frequency. So, yeah, it took me a long time to learn that, Joe. It was a long, hard road because I started out burning up my Tesla coils. I started out setting them on fire. I would literally, it'd be smoking, and I go, well, maybe it just needs more power. You know what I mean? And I would crank it out. Yeah, good idea, Nathan. Then that's really
Right,
set
it's like driving your car down the highway. You know, sometimes you get to like that speed where like you reach like a little bit of a like resonance with the road where it's off. It's like if you go slower, you fall out of it. If you go faster, you fall out of it. But at that one particular speed, it just isn't going. The problem is that you like if the band of that disturbance goes further than that, a lot of times like it just amplifies further and then causes you to like cream off the road and die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or burn up if it's a coil. So yeah, it makes total sense, and it's exactly how it works.
This has been with me a long time. Yeah, I learned a lot, man. If you watch in the early days, let me just tell everybody this so they understand it. I mastered high voltage like years ago. And I was putting that out on my channels, probably the first thing I did. Then, I got into the gravity flyer, and there was a lot of gaps in my knowledge. So then I went on to Tesla coils, you know what I mean, and resonating them. And I finally start to understand what the heck I was trying to do in my gravity flyer the whole time. And it finally made sense. And at that point, I go, man, why am I just here spinning discs? This is ultimately not what I wanted to do at all. I want to basically build it with a Tesla coil. I want to build it with a geometry coil. I want these things right. And it's easier to tune. You know what I mean? I wind the tune in it. It doesn't, wobble on me and do these other things. And people say, well, you're not a very good engineer. You can't make it not wobble. And then so much criticism goes with that device, man. It's sad.
The whole thing is, and this is what I've been saying for a little while now, is that if you want to think about it as 0 point energy, it's all 0 point energy. And if you think about how a generator works and how we generate electricity, okay, right now is by mechanically rotating permanent magnets, in a coil field. So the question first, so where's that pulling from? Well, it's pulling from the same place that anywhere else is going to be pulling from. in terms of free energy or 0 point energy. It's all pulling from 0 point energy. So the question changes. The question is, how do you use an electronically run system to create the electromagnetic fluctuations and flow patterns to eliminate the need for mechanical movement to achieve the same ends? And how do you do so in such a way that's efficient enough without losing it, that it becomes a self-sustaining proposition? That becomes the question. It no longer is a matter of anything else. All you're trying to do is eliminate the need to turn. And you eliminate the need to turn by rotating through geometry and modulation and resonance your magnetic field. Okay, that's the equation to free energy. So, you know, you're just taking the same exact design of what already works and exists and is in use right now, and changing the one thing from something that mechanically rotates to electronically rotates the field, which is not unattainable, right? So, you know, the efficiency tends to be the difficult part that people have a hard time, you know, understanding, because okay, you could do this, but now you have all these losses, and you can't have it self-sustaining, so then it becomes a net deficit, right? You're putting in more than it's putting out. So that's where the cold energy end of things comes into play. Once you realize that the cold energy is the offset of what's running it, you have to have both. You basically cancel out your losses. Once you cancel out your losses, now everything that comes out from your generator, which is the same as a generator in a power plant or a generator that's hooked up to a Honda engine, right? Then you're going to get the same output, but the input's there and it's self-sustaining. So it's really just a matter of understanding at least that much about it. You know, that pulling 0 point energy is not some kind of, you know, exotic thing like it's being made out to be. That's not exotic about it. Now, what's interesting is what you get when you start getting high density levels in a self-sustained magnetic field as a byproduct of using the hot and cold side in a proper flow pattern to achieve an over unity state. That's where we're at. So we need to change the questions that have been asked, and the context that they're being posed in is wrong.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, they are.
Right. That's what's wrong. The answers come when you start asking the right questions, because guess what? Answers are easy. Questions are hard.
Yeah.
You know, realizing that, well, what is the ether? What is 0 point energy? These are novel things to talk about in the physics end of things when you start dissecting the bits and pieces of the mechanisms of the puzzle. If you don't concern yourself with the mechanisms of the puzzle, all you're trying to do is the same thing a waterfall does. It's the same thing, you know, and a gas generator does. The same thing coal generator does, power plant. Same thing a nuclear generator does with steam. All the same. So that's it. You're just making an electronic solid state system with no moving parts. So the whole spinning of this and that, that's cool, but then you have your inefficiencies. Where's your inefficiency in that? It's the wobble in the disc. It's the thing that it's these things that you can't overcome. And it's not right. It's not that the disc is an imbalance. It's that you have pinch points at a certain point that's bending it. So unless if you have some kind of specific memory metamaterial with the same type of properties as aluminum, electromagnetically and so on, you know, like you're not going to overcome that imbalance, which we know that the answer is not in the metamaterials necessarily or nothing like that. So scratch that off the surface.
Well, hold on. Let me just say this. You can clean up a lot of those stuff in one of these units, okay? And you can get it to run really smooth. And I want to show you something because this is not well understood. You'll never get the rotational speed you need out of a spinning disc. So let me just show this for everybody.
Right. And to throw it in, that's why people were thinking of MHD drives and things like that, because you can get it out of a liquid mercury.
Oh, you can, but it's so much easier just to do it in geometry. But that's me. But I can't.
I hear you, but I'm saying more than one way to go about it, but the means to the end is the same. The liquid mercury in that case is just taking up the place of the plate. So
If something goes wrong in your garage with liquid mercury, okay, I don't want to be there.
I get it.
I don't mind being in a lab and doing it, okay? Give me all the safety shields, put me in another room, everything, okay? But I don't want to be around that. I don't
Yep.
want to be around it. I will not do it. And it's meant for a lab, not for old man in his garage. But let's take a look at this, Joe, because it's
All right, yeah, let's watch.
there's a reason why you don't run things so fast. Sorry, I didn't realize there was music on that. So he's got magnets on both sides. That's so horrifying to do.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of torsion going on there.
Oh, yeah.
Although this is no different than how they're doing, magnetic transmissions and gearing now, which
All
is super fascinating stuff too.
There we go.
I knew it was coming. Well, yeah, but that's not the spinning plate's fault. And it's not the magnetic torsion fault. That's because his friggin' his framework wasn't rigid enough to hold that shit together.
Okay. The original device, though, was a pile of junk, Joe.
No, listen, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying, like, in that case, the reason it blew up is because his framework sucked.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is it's real simple. Yes, that's true. However, it's not meant to spin that fast. It never was. I mean, his voltage he put in it was so low. We're all over here using several kV. He's putting in hertz. You know what I mean?
Mm.
He's literally not building it the same way we are. Where anybody that tells me to run it that fast, man, there you go. There's your video. Have fun. Watch it. Let it blow up a couple times for you. You know what I mean? Have all the fun with it. There's resonance involved. You have to make the discs resonant to each other. All the magnets in the world aren't going to help you from that. You know why? I have a set of neodymiums right here. 60 to 70% of the magnetism is gone. They were on my gravity fire, running high voltage, and if this guy continuously lifts it, then they were there as a paperweight or as a ground. They never were there for the magnetism of the super high gauts and all this stuff. It was a fallacy. People, oh my God, you know what I mean? They did it with No. Magnetism is a strong force. You need a weak force. And it sounds wrong, but it is right.
Well, it's because of the accumulation of the weak forces that's able to occur. You know, it's the density levels that it achieves in the end.
Well, that's
through its capacity.
South Pius told you what it did. Okay?
Hmm?
It pushes into the Planck scale in order to affect the larger scale. It literally pushes into the center to build a bubble out. That's the point. He said it clear as day, and he keeps saying it on everybody's podcast, and it's like right over their head. They have no idea what he's talking about because they've never seen a field like that, and the first words out of their mouth is magnet. And I just want to go over and say, excuse me, put down your headset so I can just smack the living daylights out of you and say, wake up, pal. You got the wrong field. It's like too daily. It's frustrating. It's like magnetism. I shoved magnets up my ass. I got magnetism. And I'm just like, fucking idiots. Fucking idiots. Sorry.
No, right. If you actually want to see the more relevant force, it's the same. It's not that it's not magnetism. Remember that's just a single manifestation of the greater whole. If you want to see the effect of, if you take two flat pieces of quartz and you rub them together, Okay, that's the force that you want. You see that? It's like this because of how it interacts with the material, you begin to understand it a little bit. What it does is it creates, it's a pseudo magnetic force. It's got magnetic attributes to it where it's polar in its nature, but it neither has flow nor does it hold a pull. So it, it's like that same kind of thing. And it's not permanent either,
Well, it's
So
easier described as an electric. It's pure static.
yeah,
That's
right.
the
It is
field. That's
pure
the weak
static,
field.
more or less.
That's the weak field. That's the one you need. Magnetism is a strong field. You don't want that. They're just opposite ends of the same field. And I keep saying it. I'm going to stop saying it because people don't understand it and they're not ready for the knowledge. So they'll just have to figure it out on their own. Once they figure out how, I'm flipping fields, maybe they'll get it. But I doubt it.
But what's
So,
interesting about that two pieces of quartz situation is that there is like a certain like charge separation that occurs. And you could feel it because it starts skipping around a little bit, and it'll actually turn itself depending on the polarization of the charge separation that occurs, but then it dissipates immediately because you don't have any sort of it's not continuous, right? That motion is not continuous, so it'll build and build and build as long as you're rubbing it together to the point where it'll actually stick. That's when the density level reaches out of magnetism. But once you do that, in that case, in context of this, you've gone too far. Even with that, I don't know. It's just fun stuff to play with. It's all stuff people can do at their own home as proof of concept here. Like we're not like, one guy comes on here, tells us that we're all full of shit, but like, go play with the rocks like I told you and you'll see. We're not full of shit. you don't need anything about it. Just try that.
It's because the crystal is a weak field.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people aren't understanding. It's so hard to overpower a strong field. It's easy to overpower a weak field if you know how to communicate with it or be at the same level. That's the understanding. You know what I mean? We're so high on these. Oh my God, I can create the biggest, most powerful thing. No. You need it to work with nature.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. Big difference. So, yeah, magnets hate electricity and heat. That's what I was saying. Yeah, I fried those magnets. So, there's some money I won't ever get back. They're just paperweights. You know what I mean? Oh, don't get me wrong. You might be able to hang something on a fridge with them, but they're not. And by the way, when you put the shell on the outside, it reduces the magnet strength. For those of you who think they're running regular magnets with their pole north and south, they're not. They have a shell on them. They're completely garbage magnets. Garbage. No matter what strength they tell you they are, they're garbage. So let's just throw that out there. I could do better with the little tiny fridge magnet because there's only one purpose for it. It's to create a ground for the whole thing. It's a negative ground. That's it. So eddy currents aside, you can control motor speeds. You don't need the eddy currents to do it. You just control it manually. So anyway, that's enough of that. I get all frustrated when I talk about it.
Well, hey, one thing I will say about magnets, though, before we get totally off,
Okay,
it does get very interesting when you use like really strong adhesives to like make a monopole.
Yeah, force things together.
Yeah, that like really strange stuff happens when you force stuff together permanently like that.
No, look, I have fun with magnets. You saw me the other day building like on the coils and move magnets, right? I think there's an absolute place for them, but when you're talking about anti-gravity, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's really cool to get some neodymium magnets that are the right diameter, throw them into a tube, and then kind of like force them onto each other with some adhesive and a clamp, and just let it cure up, and then it'd be like, oh, look at you, you're strange, man.
Yeah.
Then you can do all sorts of weird stuff, like make that thing spin indefinitely with just two other magnets, which is something that I feel like we don't play with enough. Because, like, having a monopole is like kind of cool.
Well, maybe I should.
Yeah, but what I don't know and what I would like to know is more about what happens in that massive compression zone of the, two same poles pressing together, because it doesn't go away.
Well, hold on. Then let's do this. I have magnets that are circular and they just have a hole in the center. So we'll just put a bolt and nut in there, and we'll tension it down, and see what happens. We'll put a probe next to it and see what its frequency is, what it's doing, if it makes a rotation. You know what I mean? Is there anything going on there? So
I mean, there's definitely stuff going on. It's just I want to know what happens to that, to the, like, let's say you go south, so you have a north on the outside, right? What's happening in the south field when you're pressing them together so much? Because they're repelling. So I'm thinking that it probably pushes it out into a dual toroid at that point, where your null zone that would usually sit in the middle doesn't really occur. Like, it would occur.
Oh, so you're saying
it would occur, and it would occur twice,
like Tesla talked about with his cones, and then the flat field that comes out in the center. So you think it would have to be toroidal deformation, like so maybe just like a cup. You know what I mean? Like, it would have to cup outwards. I don't know. That's just my hypothesis, I suppose. But well, it's interesting. I wonder how much more powerful that is in actuality to a regular magnet. That'd be interesting. Just try it.
Yeah, give it. I mean, right. These are easily doable things.
If nothing else, we can turn a soda can with it and have some fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys, you ready to take something completely out of context? You ready, Joe?
Oh, Christ, here we go. You're never going to look at me the same.
Oh, my God. Now, let me just say this in all due respect. This was a conversation we had with H Center, and Joe was talking about the chakra and everything good about the healing and all this good stuff, right? And I kind of just put it together as a prison thing with a prison photo, and it makes it so much funnier.
I've avoided jail. I've done good with that.
Oh, man. Oh, it's so great. Here we go.
The first time for me, again, was unexpected, and I didn't really know what it was or what particular was going on, but I was involved in some, meditative practices and stuff like that. And it really was just like an overwhelming sensation coming from my root chakra. Okay, and overwhelming. It's like the same feel. Like it's like the same feeling. Like if you're like sitting on like a ride-on lawnmower sort of deal.
Vibrations. Okay.
Yeah, give you like right on your.
It's similar to
right on your gooch. This is what I'm saying. God help me for the things I'm going to say. This is sort of what it was. But it like came up my low back, and when it kind of got into like my like upper lumbar and stuff, it was sore. But it just kind of kept on going. And then that time it didn't make it all the way to my crown chakra. It kind of stopped up by my
oh my God.
Like my mid back in between my shoulder blades. So I suppose that would be like in my heart chakra. It kind of stopped there, and I didn't feel so hot afterwards, to be honest, like for like a good couple of days or whatever have you. And then it just kind of subsided. But out of it, like I actually kind of felt like my energy levels change as far as like my chakra energies. And I really can't describe what that feels like so much. Just more that like there was in my meditations and stuff, I felt like warmth and like stuff like that in mostly my solar plexus. Now, the second time it happened was a lot different. Okay? The second time that it happened, it started the same. Felt exactly the same, except it was under totally different circumstances. And I was actually meditating while it was happening, laying down. And, that time I felt a rush right from my root, all like kind of most of the way up, working its way up. It was slowly, but it was just like going, and you could feel it,
bad.
and without
It just keeps getting worse.
any sort of mental thought about it, you know, my back started kind of, you know, yeah, like moving kind of like that,
He's doing the worm.
just like that, right? And I was in meditation, and again, it wasn't conscious, but then like I kind of have this cognition about what's going on, and then, you know, at that point, I just knew what was going on, so I nurtured it and brought it all the way to the top.
Sorry, let me jump.
And you know, once it got to the top, you know, it was just undescribable, because like it's almost like blacking out. Well, that feeling's happening. That like getting goosebumps all over, and you know, it riding your skin in waves, actually, which is kind of the interesting thing.
I had that actually about maybe 7 or 8 months ago. I can go back to that and describe that if you want, but if you want to carry on.
Well, yeah, let me finish, because really the significance of it like was after,
Oh,
you know, more than anything, right? So after I came out of this meditation, it was just like opening my eyes to a whole new world.
Yeah.
I don't want
You
to
know,
know
like,
about that whole new world, the way that it makes it sound.
Yeah, opening my eyes to a whole new world. And that's when I became a lot more in tune with like things around me. And it was kind of at that point where shortly then after, I started finding myself asking like deeply philosophical and unanswerable questions to myself. And then
Like, why
almost
did I say that?
inadvertently
yeah.
taking these things into my meditation with me. And what that culminated in was a third time, about maybe a month or two later, where the process started. But now this is where it kind of relates, and this is why I say it's like all the same. It's very interesting, right? When I hit this point, it was like
Oh, it's
the
interesting.
tuning fork. And it's very similar in circumstances. Like you wrap the tuning fork, and then all of a sudden, it all just lights up. And that happened in my meditation, and that there was nothing super significant about that meditation, particularly,
Oh my
except for
God.
that whole sensation of it just ringing right up, and it was very, very fast.
And it was smoother, I'm
It
guessing.
was smoother and it was fast, right?
Spit on it that
And
time.
I didn't have to like help it along; it just kind of knew the way. And like later that day, all of a sudden, like stuff started coming to me where I was like, holy and it was wildly overwhelming, because it was just this intuitive understanding of all sorts of things that I never even thought of in my entire life.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like trying to make heads or tails of it. And the more I thought about it, the more it kind of sort of stressed me out, because, you know, the part of my brain that was thinking about this is your conscious waking mind. You know, you're trying to like make logical sense of all this, but then there's like this deep part of you that knows it's all inherently true. Knows, doesn't think, doesn't believe, knows.
Yeah.
Just like if I were to watch you throw something in the garbage, I know, like I saw and I know that you threw something in the garbage, and it's like, you know, you couldn't convince me of otherwise. You know,
Yeah.
So it's just that definite. And the reality of it was just mind-boggling, because like that's when I realized that, you know, that there's something out there like God, more or less.
Oh man, okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So
that
yeah, that was my out of context experience.
just one photo.
Christ Almighty.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm so gonna get it for this. I know Joe's gonna get me later. That's all
Oh
right.
no, that's fine. I don't believe in revenge.
Oh, he says that's today, and then tomorrow I'm gonna get a meme.
Yeah.
Oh, That was hilarious. I thought maybe a Star Trek episode, but just the jail thing was too good, dude.
That wasn't, man.
Oh,
You asked the question about my experience with Kundalini, and I gave it to you. Like, the sad thing is that it just sounds like I was getting, like, a prison job. Like, that's what it sounded like.
it kept
It's
getting
awful.
worse because it was like the first time, then the second time, and then the third time, and it's like,
Right.
oh my god!
Right. I'm becoming more sure of it. Like I'm accepting my fate. This is literally awful.
Oh my god, dude!
Oh Christ!
Oh, that was hilarious, Joe. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. But evidently, articulating these things, sounds awful lot of like coping with, the situation. And I guess it kind of is. I don't know. I'm glad I don't know.
It was best in his root chakra. It was like riding a lawnmower. Oh man!
Square up the ass till it blasts out your head.
Oh my! Oh yeah. Feel free, Joe, to get me back, man. We'll play it on there. Have some fun.
Yeah, that's all right. If you want me to get you back, I will, and you'll fucking regret it.
Yeah,
Because
well,
I'm terrible.
just make it clean enough where we could show it. 'Cause
Yeah,
that was pretty
I will.
bad.
Yeah, that's all right. I have
It
to
was
go
just-
one notch lower than AOC.
So yeah. So I was sitting there and I was getting the new channel going, right? And I'm transferring everything to a different format to go 9:16, so it's in vertical on your phone. And I'm rewatching this thing, and I didn't realize how bad it was. As I'm sitting there watching it, it just popped into my head, dude, and I couldn't stop laughing. And then, dude, I didn't even like cut out a whole lot of words in there, bro. It was just like straight up, that's what it was. And I'm just like dying in my chair, laughing my ass off, trying to watch this, you know what I mean, and edit. And I'm going, there's no way, dude. There's no way. Took me forever.
Yeah, but that'll be good because that was the last piece that we have for now, and I know that we have to get back with Eighth and kind of finish up. I think the next one, we're going to talk about going to be more of a tutorial sort of thing where similar to Nathan rapping the coil and whatnot on the Patreon and showing you the bit by bit. We'll go through it with Eighth step by step. The different types and how physically how they're made, so you see the process.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, if you want to make them, I mean, Organite Energy is fantastic. It's exactly what we're talking about all the time here. It's just like, a tuned down version that's more personal effect as opposed to like these things trying to put out like, bigger fields for bigger effect, because that's not as you know from Nathan talking all the time, that stuff's not necessarily always the best for you. And there is such a thing too as when you're on the right side of energy and it's not apparently hurting you, it throws you out of tune and out of balance too far in the right direction, so to speak. Most of our imbalance falls to one side of the scale. So you bring it into your life and now you're bound. If you go too far on that other side, your equilibrium's gone too, and then you'll start having a whole host of other problems. So, the Organite keeps that in check by just really keeping it mellow, as far as, it's not going to harm you.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's just like a little frequency shift. It's like putting your crystal in water. It's just, yeah, so no different than that. Well, a little bit different because when they start building their,
it's not to say that they're not powerful. It's just that it's not, overtly harmful.
No. I was just saying within their, I want to call them huts, but they're not anything close to that. They're big structures over there, and they're domed on the top, and they layer them layer by layer, right? And put a resonance chamber right underneath them. So, yeah, it would pick up a lot of energy right there. They're really, really humming along with one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But it also goes to, remember that pipe you saw last week yet or earlier this week?
Yeah, the bullshit pipe, the bogus pipe, the science.
It's literally picking up the same type of energy. Like we already knew it was there, buddy. People have been doing this in their gardens and everything all along, putting them around their house. I mean,
and evidently the potato puts out more than it does. So,
yeah.
if you want more energy than that gives, just grow potatoes and then grow something next to the potatoes.
There you go.
Sure.
Dude, as a matter of fact, Joe, wind chimes have all that energy in them, and I can hear them all day long. So
yeah, sometimes they piss me off.
The big time.
Sometimes they do.
Neighbors
They're not hitting my right frequencies always. Sometimes they are. Other times they're not.
Somebody has a fetish with those things and just puts them everywhere all over their house. Drives me nuts.
Oh Christ, yeah, that's obnoxious, man. Yeah. But if you went out and played music at night as loud as those things like to chime when the wind blows at 2:00 in the morning, you'd get the police called to your house.
Yeah, you would.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to get a big speaker, Joe. We were talking earlier. I want to do that water experiment with the sounds, and then the salt, and I want to be able to set it up where I could do it live.
So when you're dealing with cymatics, there's definitely a right and a wrong way if you're going to be using a speaker, and it has to do with, creating sort of like not a vacuum, but just like at least a closed pressure chamber between the speaker itself and the surface that you're trying to oscillate because, of the transfer of the frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, like honestly, the best way to do it is if you had like a drum or something like that. You could actually just adhere the bottom of a cheap speaker to the bottom of a drum, and then put something on top of the drum, and that would work perfect.
Really?
Yeah. You could actually buy a cymatic machine that does it with sand, but those things are expensive, like very expensive.
No, why would I want that? I'll just build one.
Yeah.
Right. Little bit of super glue and, you know what I mean? Stuff like that would be fine.
Yeah.
It's just, the whole speaker's just got to hit the bass or whatever and hit the resonance, and then you'll see everything starts to move out. Frequency.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're at okay, so if you took a coffee can, like a big one, big coffee can, and you just get like any old speaker, doesn't even need to be like a crazy one, just like any old speaker, and you just 3D print yourself like a base that it could mount into, so to speak, and like hold it. Then, you isolate it with foam at the bottom, so it's kind of self-correcting and whatnot, and it falls into its own frequencies without vibrating around. You know what I mean?
So he says they call it a vibrator.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
I won't tell my wife about it then. We'll just keep the
Howard Stern back in the day.
Oh, wow.
That was a great movie.
Yeah. Yes, it feels nice. Oh, it's so bad. Yeah, I get it. So, yeah, I want to try that and do it live. That way I'll just set up my garage to do it live on that day and let you sit back and comment, because I think it'd be cool, because some of those things with the water in the speaker are awesome. And then some things with just the sand or the salt, you know what I mean? Any kind of quartz on there is awesome. And we'll see the two different patterns for the same frequency is what I want to show. So one's in water, but one's in salt. What's the difference when they're at the same exact frequency? And then I'll just run them to an amp.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, here I am complicating things again, but my mind always does. If you had 4 speakers, right? And you had it hooked up to 2 channels, okay, alternating, and you were to run a tone generator, okay, where you have a binaural option, just like the regular free online tone generator where you can do binaural stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Then what you could do is you could do either one frequency through all 4 speakers, or you could do 2 opposing frequencies in different beat patterns, and then you could on the fly change the frequencies of one or both, right? And see exactly where the standing waves form, you know, and if you were to make sure that you had a pure substrate to show it in, whether it be water or whether it be, if you do two different types of material too, that has a lot of findings, right? Because now you're dealing with the separation. So if you do water, it's like water and oil, or if you do sand, it would be like, you know, you do like quartz sand and charcoal or something like that, right? Now all of a sudden you have different findings of your standing waves when you get them. You'd be able to tell exactly where everything's at. But you would kind of need, like, you either need one tone, one speaker, or four. It can't be two or three.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I was just thinking of making a speaker and literally just changing out the top, making a locking system so it just locks on, and then it's on there. And
Yeah,
then
that's cool too. Yeah,
you
you
have
can
the
do that.
top filled with whatever.
Yeah. I said I was going to overcomplicate it.
Yeah, I know.
I
Start
would
at the beginning, see where we get to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, see, not me. I always like the way I've always like operated back when I was able to operate at all. I used to just jump right in deep. I'd be like, once I came up with the one idea, if I came up with the four idea, I was never going to do the one idea. I was just going to do the four speaker. Like, you know, go big or go home.
No, I see it. I'm trying to put together my coil video, and I need the footage. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
man.
Of the
I get it.
water and the salt. So,
Well, they have those cheap Bluetooth speakers that, you know, you could probably figure it out right with that. Like gas stations sell them.
oh yeah, I'm just gonna go to a yard sale and find somebody who's got a bass speaker that they don't want anymore, and then
Yeah.
give them $20 for
Oh,
it.
I mean, shit, a subwoofer would be right. I mean, something like
That's
that.
what I mean.
Right, yeah.
I'll just leave it right in the box and make a connection to the box. You know what I mean, with the lid.
Yeah, go on like Facebook Marketplace or something. You know, they have.
Yeah.
Please, you know how many people, like, you know, like kids that get tired of a shaking trunk lid, you know, decide that they don't want their subwoofer anymore. You probably get a sub and an amp real cheap.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't want to get that complicated. Just like you said, like a home one, and then
Yeah.
I got a couple of amplifiers sitting over here. I'll just run it on there and turn it on.
Yeah, nice.
So, yeah, it worked out. Should be an easy, quick project. You know what I mean? Just more time and figuring out the locking system of how to lock it and unlock it. You know what I mean? Other than that, should be fine. Because most of the frequency in that speaker going up and down, it's going to cause everything to go crazy. It just has to be sealed so it doesn't get out.
That's the key. That's what I wanted to, you know, drive home before I got inside of my, you know, complicated situation. Just make sure it's sealed top and bottom.
I'll just go down to the Do It Center or whatever, or Home Depot, and we'll get a little rubber gasket for your window or for the sliding door that they sell, you know, big long one. And we'll just put it in a ring, has a glue on it already. And then when it sets down on there, it's sealed.
Yeah. Or did you show me, or I forget who it was that showed me, but they had cymatic patterns playing through a gas manifold so it was literally fire, and it would change the pressurization of the gas manifold with the airflow.
No, I didn't show you that one, I don't think.
No, yeah, that one was cool. I'll have to find that and send it to you then. Somebody showed that to me, and I was like, "Oh, that's neat." It was like a big table of a gas manifold that was powered by sound.
Right on, man. Well, dude, it's been a really fun episode today, Joe.
Yeah.
It went by quick.
Damn right, yo. We were talking nonsense. It was great.
Yeah, we really do need a direction. Somebody that understands those things, Joe.
I agree. I mean, I look at it, I see the art for what it is. I can postulate on other things, but, you know, there's obviously symbolism in it, but a lot of it's more abstract than a lot of the symbolism that we deal with generally when we're talking about any sort of esoteric or occult or alchemist type symbolism. You know, it's so, yeah, if people know more about it, love to know what they know. And
with you.
Yeah. Get them back on. Great topic to bring up. Super in the woo. I don't buy it entirely. We've come up with all sorts of different things that it could be.
Yeah,
You choose
we're
what
probably
you
not
do.
right on any of them.
I like what the dude in the chat said, man. I think that's
The tying
awesome.
it all together one, yeah.
Yeah, tied it all together. It's the only one that answers it all with and is totally rational and works off the science that we actually know
Mm-hmm.
is the case, right? So
Yeah, I
I'm
agree
down
with
with that one.
All right, guys, I'm trying to promote my new channel, so I'm going to put it in the chat one more time before we take off here. So there it is for you guys. Go over, subscribe, hang out, check it out. And then once I get enough subscribers, man, we'll start doing a couple lives off of there. So one thing Joe and I talked about is after show.
Yep.
So we'll have to do like 15, 20 minutes of an after show and just record it for you guys. And usually it's just with the person in the studio here, and we're just talking, back and forth, just about normal everyday stuff. But it's always interesting what people have to say. You know what I mean? Their thoughts on everything.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing that we're going to be doing is recaps, and I think we were going to have Bernie in to do a recap that we'll
Oh, this
post up.
weekend.
Yeah, so we're gonna grab some awesome clips from the past, kind of revisit them, touch on some of the stuff like from a new perspective, maybe, being after the fact and whatnot. Like, my God, if I could recap myself on that Kundalini situation, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I would absolutely positively change the wording. I would make it sound way less like butt s. Like it would be way less butt essy. Just saying. Well, but you get the allegory. I mean, you obviously get the allegory in it. It just is what it is, man. Like, I love Tool, bro. This is what Maynard does all the time. It's like everything innuendo, triple entendre.
It
It
was.
just is what it is. It's
It got all the way up to the middle of your back between your shoulder blades.
yeah, yeah. And it's just like and then it shot up my back. I was like, oh, that sounds. It shot up my back. No, nothing shot up my back.
I'm so sorry.
No.
Oh, it's
And
so
then,
good.
if anything, I'm just glad it didn't shoot up my chakra. Although it did. So this is what I'm saying. So, like, do with it what you will. All right?
Funniest thing ever, bro.
Christ almighty. Sniz.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
just one picture changed the whole scene because I could have put crystals next to it and people think, oh, yeah, this is awesome, right? No.
I love that my come to Jesus moment in life boils down to that. I'm glad.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny because it was like your Mike moment, right? Where Mike just went on for like 20 minutes about, are you in Canada? There's 3 holes. You know what I mean? It's completely oblivious to what he was saying.
So, okay, for the audience, first of all, that was not for a live. That was just me and Nathan and Eighth talking after we had already recorded the episode. And the question was posed, tell me about your Kundalini experience. And then there was a little tiny bit of floor discussion of that, but it was all in context of us already discussing this stuff. So then I go in and I'm excited to tell my story to people that generally understand me. So like, I'm like all about telling it. And that's how I told it. It was like, don't cut me off because like, this is like a critical moment in my life. So I went on and on and on and on.
Oh, we kept letting him talk.
I know. It is what it is. Can't say I regret it. It was how I felt to express it, I suppose.
In all fairness, Joe, I didn't put that out as the regular episode. Okay, I did put a portion.
Well, good. It wasn't really part of the regular episode.
No, it really was, to be honest with you, because we didn't stop recording until later. Yeah, it really was because we got talking about space travel, or is there a satellite out there in space? And Senator says he wasn't, not satellite, but a space station. And he was telling us about the glitches in their tape and everything. They had a green screen. Yeah, it was part of the
All right, listen.
whole
For the
thing in
record,
part 4.
there's a space station. I'm just saying. But yeah. Okay.
So just so you know, Senator, I put part 4 on the like a part of it. I think it was an hour, hour and 20 minutes of part 4 before we finished doing the drawing and stuff and the pictures and all that stuff to draw it out.
Yeah, so we'll do a part 5
Yeah, part
finale.
5.
Yeah, we'll do a part 5 finale on the subject. And try to make it as intuitive for people as possible to be able to go out and make their own without having to go into the woo of it all. Because I think we've already done that.
Yeah, he said he saw it an hour and 23 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, dude, I'm excited though. We'll see Bernie this weekend. I'll see Mike later today. Mike got laid off, so he'll have some time. I want him to come on and maybe present his cell, not the one he's been working on undercover, but he has another cell he's been working on and showing everybody on all of his lives. If I want to ask him to present that on the channel,
Nice.
If he has time now, and then we'll see Bernie this weekend for a recap. So, and then I'm putting together a presentation like Sean does for Tesla Coils, so that on Monday I can see if I can't, just put it together to make it understandable like he does.
Very nice.
Yeah. So hopefully I can, and we'll do that on Monday. So yeah, got a fun, busy weekend, man, planned. So it's gonna be good.
And we're bringing you along for the ride, people.
That's right. Everybody gets to come and watch and have some fun. So, anything else going on, Joe, that I forgot?
No, I think that's about it. I'm just breaking my ass all week and finally decided I was like, I cook dinner for myself every single night because there's nowhere good to eat around here, and not that I could afford to eat out every night anyway. So finally, after months and months, I decided to go out for a bite to eat with a couple of my friends yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We got all you could eat sushi, which is never generally a good idea, except we know a place. It's like good. And yeah, that was pretty damn righteous. Like I woke up this morning like, oh my God, what did I do to myself last night?
Way too much, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, it's sushi. So the regret is always like,
Not that bad, huh?
yeah, it's not that bad.
Not as bad as the chili.
No, please. Like that reminds me during the night, like this is what happens when you get old, man. Like I ain't that old, but man, I'm old enough for that shit to be kicking up on me. That's for sure.
Oh man, what's at the end of the rainbow, Joe? Wow. There was some clips in there that I don't even know if I could put on my channel. You know what I mean, without getting demonetized. So I put it on my other channel. It's not monetized yet, to see how people react. Dude, it's just hilarious.
Nice. And small little thing, and I'll get with Nathan to talk about this, but next Saturday, weather and all permitting, I'm actually going to go to that crystal mine, and I'm going to go dig for some Herkimers and stuff like that. So I'm going to make sure to get some like footage of, me out there digging at the Herkimer mine. This mine that I'm going to is it's only about 25 minutes from where I live, which is crazy. And they pull out the world's largest Herkimer diamonds out of this place. Some of them could be bowling ball sized. So there's never like a guarantee that you're going to get one that big, but like chances of me coming back with like a fist size or better, like Herkimer diamond, is a very real possibility, which I'm super stoked about. And, if things are looking good while I'm there, and Nathan's on board, maybe we'll throw a little live dig action on there if that's something new and entertaining. Anybody that would just be into, watching me dig in the dirt for a little bit and hang out.
Yeah, dude, it'd be fun.
Yeah,
I'm up for it.
Different, something new.
Yeah. So, by the way, 8 said I didn't show part of it. That's coming up on I'm trying to put it into a short. Remember, he was moving that foil with his hand?
Yeah.
And doing that, I wanted to save that for a short. So I didn't put it in the regular thing or the after hours part. So I wanted to show that. And then he says he's getting on with Gail after this. That's going to be awesome. So Liz and Gail both for Atlantis. Dude, I love that stuff. I absolutely love that stuff.
All right, nice. So look, the content is coming, people. We keep it moving, and as always, the invite is out there for anybody that has either something that they want to, talk about, if it's a subject, or if there's something they're doing that they want to show. It's always an open invitation. You just reach out to me and Nathan. We'll get you in there, and we'll set up. It could be a discussion, it could be an interview, whatever you have in mind. We'll make it happen for you.
Yeah, and just so you know that the stuff with the Star Trek is between Joe and I, and the host of the show. That's not everybody else. So if I'm not going to
right. Don't fear getting ragged on account of.
Yeah, don't fear that. That's just between us to have a little fun. Yeah. So yeah, I'll treat you with respect and respect what you're saying. So come on, have some fun. You know what I mean? Show us what you got. Always interesting to learn something new. Always have an open mind about it.
Isn't that the truth?
All right, guys. With that said, thank you guys in the chat, man. You guys are really awesome today. Coming up with more brilliant ideas than Joe and I had about crop circles. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, look forward to seeing all on my new channel and hanging out there and learning some stuff. And we'll come out some original content for that too. So yeah. Anyway, with that said,
like, subscribe, join, Patreon, roll the creds. Peace
there
and
we
love.
go. Thanks, guys.
The old man built. The old man built. The old man built. The old man built. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds, the old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. 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 Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.